They tell us we should sometimes look in the mirror, but at holiday time, we have the opportunity of looking into store windows. Claire Booth Luce once said that later in life, she felt like she was living in the shadow of herself. Windows and culture are often reflective of the times we live in. And as we take a look at window displays here at holiday time, we can see the divergent of ideas, corporate sponsorship versus private initiative and ingenuitive creativity. Let's take a look here at Neiman Marcus here on Michigan Avenue here in Chicago. Lovely, traditional, straight up fashion, wintry scene here, coupled with more of a corporate thematic display format on the Michigan Avenue side of the store. But again, very pleasant and lovely and kind of transportative. Having our heads in the clouds, not necessarily a bad approach in the world we live in today. And these mannequins, very evocative and expressive, adds a real whimsy to the streetscape. This is the other fashion display, straight up fashion display on the Superior Street side of the store. Across the street at Saks Fifth Avenue, straight up fashion display on the Superior Street side of the store, across the street from the Peninsula Hotel. Down the street on Oak Street, Prada. I thought this was a pretty innovative use of small space, very short, shallow space, creating this dramatic staircase scene, a lot of drama, a lot of action. Interior scene in this window display. Very pleasant. Candy cane stripe. A little unorthodox and zany for Prada, but I guess that's what Prada's all about. The new Loewe store on East Oak Street has an aquatic theme with this mannequin with a snorkel and face mask on. I mean, I guess a lot of real estate is underwater, but fashion underwater, it's a good look at Loewe. Also, I will say Ray Tarrigan was very good to take a local high school class on a retail tour, and Loewe, brand new, saw us passing by and opened their doors and welcomed all 30 students into their new store. So they get the special four-star rating for extraordinary hospitality. Around the corner at Rush in Walton, the Christian Dior store has, I kept wanting to view it as a astrological theme, but it's really not, but it is animals and fairy tale story kind of going on. Straight up fashion mixed with this very elaborate multi-layered background. Here we have the unicorn coming out of the storybook. A lot of the people I talked to and the class we took on tour, especially like this display. This unicorn is actually illuminated from inside. We think it's made out of some sort of resin coated with feathers and fibers. It's very elaborate. On East Oak Street, the Tory Burch store, nothing especially extraordinary about this, but very tasteful, very nice, snowy snowball scene. And the mannequins are actually perfectly placed and positioned with attitude and a little style, which I guess is what we'd expect from Tory Burch. On the corner at 900 North, we have the Gucci store. And, um, you know, this smattering of store examples is as much indicative of what you can get a good photograph of as anything. And about half the windows have strong illumination elements, which in about half the cases were too bright. But I included this example because Gucci has this red lacquer interior scene, wainscoting, and molding, which I saw repeated a couple different times in other retailers. It was a pretty good look. Red is sometimes a difficult color to work with, but they did a good job. Then they have this little cutout building scenes, and again, it burns out a little bit in this photograph. But I did think it was a pretty successful approach. Here's the trunk, a steamer trunk with a little illuminated village coming out of, and the product placed on that scene. I think again, between the corporate and the thematic and the personal designer touch, my thesis in this review is that the windows that incorporate merchandise, straight up merchandising, in my assessment, are the most successful this year. Across the street at Louis Vuitton, they have the circus theme. I am aware that I believe that the White House has a circus theme. Circus theme is fairly popular. It rotates throughout the cycle of window display and party display and all kinds of different themes. It was fairly successful here. Again, they had a lot of illumination in the window. It was difficult to get a good photograph. I wasn't quite sure if the fashion was fitted correctly or as tastefully presented as it could have been, but it's very entertaining and inviting window. Somewhat aware that woke is kind of on the way out, but I don't know if I would have included the monkey. I just thought that was kind of startling in this day and age, but you can see the burnout of the Louis Vuitton Broadway lit light bulbs defining that the branding. A little bright and a little overpowering, but tremendous effort, tremendous production value, very slick and sleek. Down the street at Tiffany and Company, they say this is really more their scaled back attempt. Usually, the last few years, they've been doing a lot of intricate cutout, paper cutout, card-like, very intricate and delicate lace-like fabrication. This is pretty much their traditional format of the blue background and the miniature items, bracelet ring with little doves flying around it. Not especially Christmassy, but wintry and very Tiffany-like. Ralph Lauren on Michigan Avenue and Chicago Avenue. Straight up merchandise display, multi-layered. It couldn't be any more layered than this. And super, super traditional. We have a few viewers in New York City, and we always want to include Bergdorf Goodman. Bergdorf Goodman has a pretty strong signature style of filling the entire space, very artful, oftentimes having almost a feeling of tramp art, tarot card, combining a lot of imagery. I will say, if I was including this in a deck for educational purposes, I would include this as an excellent example of use of color, making a very, very strong impact out of, disparate elements and images, but making it all work simply by the color. This is very dramatic and really engages people, draws them into the scene. And the next example of that is this blue version, which has a little bit more defined images and symbols used in this window display from Bergdorf Goodman. Across the pond at Harvey Nichols, actually relatively new to me. I was looking for Harrods, and Harvey Nichols is their neighbor. And they have a lot more content on the internet, oddly, than Harrods. Tonight, when we have our regular program, we will review Harrods. They have a partnership with Loro Piana. It's called a takeover. Last year, they had a takeover with Christian Dior, and there was some criticism about recycling some of the items from Christian Dior last year into this year's theme. But we'll discuss that a little bit more in more depth this evening at this evening's program. But this quick preview, I thought this was a great example. It's a number of videos on the internet giving walk-by tours of this. And this was excellently executed with elements outside the store, inside the store, on the sides of the windows, on the ceilings. So as you walk by, it's truly an immersive experience. You're not just asked to stand in front and look at the scene. You're actually kind of experiencing the scene as you approach, and as you walk by, and as you pass by. It's quite well done. I mean, I didn't even have time to zoom into exactly what was going on in most of these windows, but there's something going on. And I'm open to any suggestions and interpretations of what this window means to you. I mean, a number of the commentary about window displays in general this season is they're not necessarily Christmassy, but I think we have a pretty broad umbrella here at Fashion Coffee Hour. Back again to Chicago and this red lacquer theme. We saw Gucci is also here at Salvatore Ferragamo. I don't believe they are in the same ownership house. I think Gucci is in its own house, but some of our more expert panelists will explain that to me in greater detail. But I thought this was great. A combination of propping, merchandising, and some kind of surreal placement of images, which I noticed in other displays this season. That's very old school window display approach. And I have to include Burberry because Ray Tarragon is our expert Burberry veteran. And we see, again, a return to more of a traditional format here at Burberry, including a straight up mannequin presentation. Many people comment about this stained glass theme they have going on, which personally is not all that appealing to me. It's a little clunky, but people really responded to it. And that's what matters. Everyone experiences experience in their own unique way. Downtown in our downtown area of Chicago, Illinois, we have the State Street corridor anchored by the former Marshall Fields building, now occupied by Macy's. A lot of criticism right out of the box from people who often don't have opinions about these things. A negative reaction somewhat to the Macy's thematic on State Street. I believe it was some sort of partnership. Some people interpreted it as a partnership with Disney. I didn't even scrutinize it closely enough to determine who they were partnering with, but it was something. I will say I was down there Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. and surprisingly, State Street was bustling with people all over the store, inside and out, and people crossing the street saying we're on our way to see the window displays. So, I mean, there was something there to meet their expectation for good or for bad, but many people use these as selfie stations, standing in front of these windows, taking pictures of themselves in front of these as a backdrop, which I'm not sure if I've witnessed that before. But they were kind of also ran of technology and lighting and kind of impersonal fabrication. But I'm not going to beat up Macy's because the store was bustling inside and out. And it's a pretty good shopping experience that I worked at Marshall Fields years ago, and the store today, although somewhat unrecognizable, is a far superior shopping experience. It couldn't be brighter or cleaner or more refreshed than it is today. Around the corner, Chip and his team have done a great job merchandising with the product displays, which I think are far superior to the State Street windows. This is on Randolph side of the store. And, again, very similar to the Tory Burch placement of mannequins. They're interacting, they have attitude, and has a little swagger to it. And Chip always does such a fantastic job selecting merchandise from the store. And then I will say, I think my favorite at the Macy's on State was on the Wabash side under the L tracks, which I'm just now putting that together. The subway and L track theme holiday displays, which is pretty zany and unorthodox. And I think this fashion, Chip really did a great job layering this all out. Just everything is very well coordinated. And it's a fun scene. I love the mannequins in front of the approaching train, waiting on the platform. It's another version of the mannequin waiting for her train to come in. I mean, what a warm holiday fuzzy feeling. This is actually a favorite, which perennial favorite here in Chicago, the Posh store. It's not as well known as many of the other stores. It's on State Street between Ohio and Ontario, I believe, in the Tree Studios building. It's a very traditional streetscape of small boutique stores, and these people really anchor it and create a whole vibe for the entire block. So Carl and his team, I believe he has a designer out of state who fabricates these elaborate displays each season. And this was a very fun kind of a Marie Antoinette with a scene, an interior scene, and a dining room scene under her skirt, and then a sleigh ride full of enticing gifts and tabletop accessories for entertaining at Posh. And, we're not entirely snobs here at Fashion Coffee Hour. Across the state from Chip's Knockout Windows on across the street from Chip's Knockout Windows on Wabash Avenue at the downtown Macy's store is Staples. I give the people at Staples a little credit for creating something out of practically nothing. If you can have some fun and make a display out of office products, well, then it's all to your credit. Wherever you are this season, whatever shadow of your former self you're seeing yourself in today, you're always welcome to join us at Fashion Coffee Hour. Fashion Coffee Hour is every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Time on Zoom. We will be discussing these window displays and many, many others with our panel of experts. You're certainly welcome to join us I will include my email in the description of this video, and I'll be happy to send you an invitation. I do look forward to seeing you soon, and if you have any comments on the content of this video, please include it in the comment section.